Hi class, in this video I will demonstrate the concept of reference versus by value. So let me write a comment here. Passing from to okay. So when we pass values from arguments to parameters, there are two systems that are used. The default system is by value, but you can always change it to by reference. So what I'll do is I'll first write a small program which has a function called calc amount. So we will write the program like you've written a few times already. You already know about functions, so you write it in the normal way. Then I'll explain what happens when you pass values from arguments to parameters, right? So I'm going to write here a very small program. So I'll include So here we have two variables. We have int quantity and we have double price. So we have two variables. We'll get the values from the user. Then we get the price. Right, so we have two variables, quantity and price, and we get the user to give us the values for quantity and price. Now what we'll do is we will make a function called calc amount, and we pass quantity, then we write price. So we're passing values in the variables quantity and price to the function calc amount. Okay, that's all we do. So as you can see, function calc amount is a void because he's not part of a assignment statement. Okay, so we know that the function returns nothing back. Its return type is a void. So we write void calc amount. We have two parameters, int q and int double p. Right. So two parameters. We have a local variable here, double amount, and we write amount equal to q times p. Okay. P. Okay. And then we display the amount is dollar symbol variable amount in DL. Okay. And that's all we have. Function returns nothing back. Why? The function type is a void. We already know that functions whose return type is void do not return anything back. They do their job and they shut down. So this is the prototype here. Right. Okay, prototype. Let's try and build this program, see if it works. So I'm gonna save it in CS730 and we'll call this one by val by ref.cpp. Okay. So it says please enter the quantity. So I type quantity, say 1000. Say enter the price, I'll type price, say 10.5, and it gives me the amount, right? So it's a pretty standard program. We read it a bunch of times. Now here, you know that we pass two arguments to the function calcamount. So this is the function call, right? So as we can know, we know that this is the function call, and we're passing two arguments, quantity and price. Rather, the values in the variable quantities and price. So the value in the variable quantity is passed to parameter q, and the value in the argument price is passed to the parameter p. So one thing we have not discussed so far is that how is this value passed from our argument, meaning argument quantities in this case, to parameter q, and from argument price to parameter p. So how does this go? Now what happens is the default system in programming is what is called the by-val system. So I'm going to write a comment here. By default, this comment is not too readable, so I'll remove the comment. I'll just speak. So the default system in most languages is that when you pass a value from an argument to a parameter, the default system is by value system, meaning the transfer of value is done by a system called by value. What that means is that whatever value is in the argument, right? So this is a variable quantity, right? So the compiler makes a copy of this variable in the memory of the machine, and then sends the address of the copy to the parameter q. Okay, so let me explain one more time. In the default system, which is the by value system, when you try to pass the value from an argument to a parameter, a copy of the variable that holds the value is made, and then the address of the copy is passed on to q. So the original address of quantity, it's a variable, so it's a named storage location in the memory of the machine. So the original address of quantity is not passed to q. Rather, a copy of this variable is made, and the address of that copy is passed to q. Okay, the same thing here. So this is a variable price. This is a named storage location in the memory of the machine, of the computer. So a copy of this variable is made in the memory of the machine, and then that address will be passed on to p. So q doesn't know where is the original variable quantity because it was passed the copy of the quantity, and p does not know where is the original variable price because a copy of price was made and the address was passed on to p. So what does that mean is, if I try to change, for example, let me show you. If before we calculate the amount, supposing I say q equal, let me change the price, say p equal price times 2, meaning I'm doubling the price here. So what I did was I doubled the price, assigned it back to p, so price basically doubled. Now amount will be much larger. Okay, so if I run this program now, say I put the same 1000 and I would type 10.5, right? As you can see, the amount is increased a lot because we double the price. However, when we modified this p by doubling it, the original price was not affected. So if I see out here, prices, I write price and then now. So what I'm trying to show you is that we're trying to see if by changing this p, meaning by doubling it, did it have any impact on the original argument price, right? So I'm going to run this program one more time. So here you go. So I'll type quantity 1000, price is 10.5. so we see the amount and we see the price. So this is obviously coming from the function, so this is displayed by the function, and this is back to the main function, right? Because why? After this function returns here, the control goes back to the line following the function call, this line. So we are looking at the price after the function call. So this information is being displayed after this function has completely executed. The return has come back to this line here, and we are displaying the price. So we saw that by modifying P, by doubling the P, had no impact on price, original argument price. It is still 10.5. Okay, so what by-val system means, or by-value system means, is that when you pass value in an argument to a parameter, the original argument is hidden. Its address is not sent. Rather, you make a copy of this variable, meaning you make a copy in another memory location and send the address of that memory location to the parameter. So if you modify the parameter like we did here, it has no impact on the original argument. Original argument's address was never sent to the parameter. So by modifying the parameter, the original argument was untouched. Okay, so this is safety systems. All languages have the same by-value system, the default system. So let me repeat one more time. When you pass value in an argument to a parameter, like here, the address of the original argument is not sent. Rather, if we make a copy of the original argument and send the address of the copy to the parameter. What that means is, if you modify the parameter like we did here, it has no impact on the original argument. Okay, so this is called the by-value system. A slightly modified system is called the by-reference system. So what is the by-reference system? In the by-reference system, what happens is we send the address of the original argument to the parameter. Okay, so if we change the system from the default by-value system to the by-reference system, what that would mean is that what we're doing now is we are sending the address of the original argument to the parameter. Right? So we'll be sending the address of original quantity and price to Q and P respectively. What that will do is that if you modify the parameter, it will also impact the original argument. So let me first put an ampersand here. So when you put an ampersand before the parameter name, that modifies the system from the default by value to by reference. So now we are passing arguments, quantity and price, to the parameters Q and P by reference. Okay, so putting an ampersand symbol right before the parameter makes it by reference system. Now we are sending the original address of quantity to Q and the original address of price to P. So how will this change our program? Now we will see that because we're modifying price, we're doubling the price, and this price holds the address of the original price here. So this P here, right here, holds the address of the original price here. If you modify the parameter like we're doing here, you also modify the price. Now what will happen is if we double the price, the P, excuse me, here, if we modify the parameter, we double the parameter, it will also affect the original argument. So the by reference system is like a little bit risky system because now we are passing the original addresses of the arguments to the parameters. So what that means is that if you modify the parameters like here, you also modify the original argument. So this will also change. Okay, this is useful in some situations. The next example, I'll show you how we can use that. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this program one more time because you modified the system to. I also should modify my prototype, otherwise program will not run. Okay, so I'm gonna build it one more time. What's this? So here we are. So I'll write quantities 1000. Okay. And I'm gonna enter the price. I'm gonna enter the price at 10.5 like I did previously. 10.5. Okay. So now as you can see, this is in the function. Okay, so this message is coming from the function, and this message is coming from the main function. So what happened was, when we doubled the parameter p by multiplying by 2, we also modified the original argument price. It also doubled. Why? Because in the by reference system, which we achieved by putting ampersand before the parameter, the address of the original argument is passed down to the parameter. So if you change the parameter like we did here, you also change the value of the original argument. Okay, so one more time, when you pass values from the arguments to the parameters, the default system is the by value system. In the by value system, a copy of the argument is made and the address of that copy is passed down to the parameter. So if you change the parameter, that does not affect the original argument. Okay. In the by reference system, which we achieve by putting ampersand before the parameters, the system changes. Now we are sending the address of the original argument to the parameter. So what that means is, if you change the parameter, you will also change the value of the argument. Why? Because the parameter has the address of the original argument. Okay, so this is the critical difference in two systems, the by value system and the by reference system. In the next example, I'll show you how this is useful. This is useful to overcome the limitation of functions, because we know the functions can only return one single value back. So sometimes we use the by reference system to get multiple pieces of information from the function by passing arguments by reference and not by value. Okay, so this is the by value versus by reference system.